Welcome back to the Rebel's Edge. It's a holiday shortened week, folks, so be ready for that. And be ready for a lot of truth about the stocks that are moving, the VIX, and of course, sports here on the Rebel's Edge.
There it is.
The clapper's back up there, Pete. I don't have it down here, so sorry about that.
No big deal. We're getting close to Christmas. It's getting kind of festive out there for sure, John. Everywhere I go, it's a little bit more. So we're getting into the heart of this whole thing now.
Yeah, and it's my favorite season. Some people, it's Halloween. Some people, it's Easter. Mine's Christmas. But, we thank you for joining us, folks. He is Pete Najarian. I'm Jon Najarian. We appreciate all of you joining us. Let's dive into macro, shall we, Pete?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, macro, today we're seeing a number of stocks moving nicely, and we'll cover that. The NASDAQ's up about 0.5%, maybe a little more. Same thing with the Dow, same thing with the S&P. Pete will cover the VIX in a moment because it's making not a historic drop, but it's down pretty good today. I'm going to say macro, Pete, optimism surrounding what the Fed might do next. And I don't really anticipate a lot happening in January, Pete, but as mercifully Jay Powell is running out his term, I think we're going to see more and more positives and a couple of rate cuts between the first quarter and second quarter of 2026. What do you got?
Yeah, I totally agree with all that, John. I would just say this, that from a macro side, I think that the AI trade is just really becoming something that is a massive market mover, right? I mean, there are days where the real storylines that's really pushing the markets around, well, has everything to do with AI, whether it's Oracle, whether it's, take your pick, NVIDIA, AMD, whatever. But I think it's pretty interesting how much of a reaction we are getting from that and the massive market moves just based upon that one part of things. So I think from that perspective, I'm looking at Oracle today, I'm looking at NVIDIA, I'm looking at AMD, all these various names. Today is a positive day so far, at least for the AI trade, which means we're getting dragged back to the upside.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at, Pete, NVIDIA up. Micron up, and Micron was one of them that saved us, really, yes. I think, to a certain extent, Pete, because if they would have come up with something negative, but instead they just surged to 250, and today they're over 275.
Yep.
And then you've got CoreWeave, CRWV up sharply, Oracle up, Supermicro up. I mean, like you said, it's pretty much that is the group of stocks that's moving things on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got as far as the VIX? When all those stocks go up, Pete, what does the VIX do?
The VIX, people get a little less nervous, right? I mean, everything seems a little bit more comfortable. So we're seeing that pull back, even on some of these pretty sharp moves to the downside, John, as you and I've talked about day in and day out, the volatility index really hasn't been making any of these big breakouts. Yes, it's gotten up towards 17. And that's kind of where it stops and then pulls back, or 18 maybe, and then pulls back. But now we're looking at the lowest level since the mid-August. We're looking at mid-August 1422, John. We got very, very close to that today. We might get back there again. 52-week lows were 14 and change. And I'll tell you what, we are not that far away from that right now. So I would say that people are getting a lot more comfortable. I don't know about a Santa Claus rally, but they're certainly getting a lot more comfortable about this AI trade and some of the worries that we've had over the last few weeks.
Let's toss this out to him too, Pete. The reason we say holiday shortened week, folks, is it's an actual, I don't know what I should say law, Pete, but it's certainly a securities exchange rule that we're not supposed to be closed except for extraordinary circumstances. More than just the weekend plus one day. In other words, if the Christmas holiday, the 25th, would have fallen on Friday, yeah, we could be closed Friday, the 25th, and then, of course, Saturday and Sunday. But it's not. It's Thursday this week. So we're going to have a holiday shortened week no matter what, because we have to open on Friday, the 26th, also known as Boxing Day. So That means that basically from, I don't know, sometime tomorrow, Pete, on the 23rd, we're going to start seeing everybody hitting the hills, or maybe those hills might be Aspen, they might be Salt Lake City, who knows? But they're going to be leaving the exchanges, and the 24th will be like a ghost town. 25th, of course, closed, and then 26th, skeleton crew. So that's what we expect, right, Pete?
Absolutely. Yeah, looking for that. And so just understand that and understand, yes, we are open Friday, but it's pretty short.
Yep. And the volatility gets compressed pretty quick. All right. I found this one interesting for our basically predictive markets, Pete. Predictive markets, we look at Kalshi, we look at Polymarket. There are a bunch of others too. Those happen to be two of the biggest. But look at this. SpaceX IPO. Closing market cap above was the question with a blank after it. And above $1 trillion, 76% say yes.
Wow.
Above 1.2, 53% say yes. And the 36% say even bigger than $1.4 trillion, Pete. So I think it's pretty safe to say Mr. Musk is going to break the bank on this one, Pete, when they do price it, that IPO. But last week they did another round, as they're known. There's seed rounds A, B, C, D, so forth. They did an $800 billion round last week. So it's going to be double that, perhaps, or almost double that, as far as the betting goes right now. It's going to be huge. And we're going to have a lot to say about it as we get closer to it, folks, because it's going to influence markets.
And that 800 billion was actually 400, or I think it was 6 months earlier, was half of that. So this has just been going up. And obviously, as you were just pointing out, John, I mean, they're certainly looking at the trillion plus level pretty happily right now. And shoot, even the percentages of it going up far more than that. That's pretty incredible to me when you really look at it. But I definitely feel right about saying, you know what, it will be over $1 trillion. I just don't, I can't give you the rest of that, because that's going to be something depending on when it actually gets, done, right? I mean, that's part of it too, is sometimes you get delays and whatever. So it'll be interesting to see.
All right, Pete. Well, our own Justin Nugent, who does the Rebel Roundup and Rebel Roundup Pro, these are newsletters that you guys could subscribe to. He also does Trade Monster AI, which is an AI that he has created to find momentum in the markets based on something that Albert Einstein came up with, Pete, which is way beyond my pay grade. Maybe not beyond Pete's, but it's beyond mine.
Yes, it's beyond Pete's.
Laurentian is what Albert Einstein called it. It's a way to basically track momentum. And he uses that to pick the stocks that he's picking, because Pete and I talk a lot about options and stocks. This is really just about the unusual momentum in the market. And Pete, he nailed it with ASTS. And so he said to me right before we came on air, John, take a look at that. It's up 13.5% today. And if you look at it, Pete, as of like Friday, it was a $62 stock. It's 86 today. So this is a monster mover. And anybody that caught this with the Trade Monster AI is a happy camper.
Definitely. Not so bad, right? Not so bad at all.
And you don't even have to understand options to trade that one, folks. You can, of course, trade it with options and get leveraged returns, but you can also just be a stock investor. And he's been putting trades out like that, Pete, since we launched it. It's just That's incredible.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right. What about WBD, Warner Brothers Discovery? These guys, they get unusual activity again. And this was from last Thursday, last week, I think. WBD, they had strong upside buying of March, 28 calls. Well, those calls worked out pretty well already. And they've got a lot of time, basically 3 full months to run. And what's the deal today? Well, Larry Ellison, the probably second or third richest man in the world, maybe he'll be once again the richest man in the world until Elon gets SpaceX out there. But he said, I'll guarantee it personally with $40 billion of my money, this deal for his son to take over Warner Brothers Discovery. His son, of course, is the head of Paramount Skydance. Mm-hmm. So very interesting, Pete. And another one that the unusual activity let us right in.
Yeah, gotta love that. And David, his son, obviously pretty excited about things, I would think, John. As a matter of fact, when you look at this and all the different going back and forth with this whole thing with Warner and Paramount and everything, and you look at what his son David is doing, I'll tell you what, $40 billion, that's what they did as their personal guarantee. I say they, but it's really Larry. For a $78 billion deal. Now, there's some wrestling around with Netflix and all the rest of it, but this is becoming a pretty interesting trade as we've been watching this. And when you look at all the different names in positive territory, you've got to like that. So people definitely think that this not only is going to happen, but it's going to be very lucrative for somebody, Warner Brothers. It's up 3%, John. So not so bad. It's a really interesting time I think, to look and see what Larry Ellison is willing to do. And as you pointed out, he has become somewhere in that top 3 or 4, at least, I would say, with what has been going on with Oracle stock and some of the numbers he's been able to put up. Now, it did have a pullback, but you know what? Things like that happen all the time. I think he's on the right track into the future as well.
Yep. Well, let's hit a little Rocket Lab too, Pete, because just like ASTS, it's a little bit of piggybacking on Mr. Musk's SpaceX valuations and so forth, and a little bit of just great news. They got an $800 million prime contract with the U.S. Space Development Agency. That doesn't hurt, to manufacture basically 18 satellites to put them up there as well, because nobody carries more into space than Mr. Musk's SpaceX. But Rocket Lab does it as well, and Rocket Lab has been moving up, Pete, and it's up 36% in the last 5 days. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah, that's a good smoke, by the way, a really good smoke. But yeah, everything you just talked about, John, I'll tell you what, it's amazing what they've been able to do in a fairly short time frame, quite frankly, relatively speaking. And, the largest contract to date for Rocket, they got to love that, $816 million. That seems like something that's pretty damn good. How about a backlog of $1.3 billion? I mean, these guys are really sitting in the right spot right now, and people are sitting there and smoking on things. And by the way, Stiefel decided to come out and say, you know what? We had a price target of 75. We're going to make it 85. They might have to bring it even higher than that, John, because we've already hit a brand new high today of 77. Just over 77. So great balance sheet. I really can't poke holes in anything. I think everything about what's going on for them is absolutely fantastic. It's and these all-time highs and so forth that it's hitting, it's right pushing on the all-time highs. I would say that people have it right now with Rocket, because they certainly have the arsenal going forward.
What about this one, Pete? January of 24. Now, here we are coming in on the end of 25.
Yeah.
January of 24, it was a $3 stock. That's ASTS, I'm sorry, was a $3 stock. Let me give you a Rocket Lab too, just for grins. RKLB, I think similarly, Pete, this one was awfully cheap. I know both were single digits back then, but let's see. Back in 24, this one was, $4.60.
Oh, it's crazy.
77, almost $78 today. So, yeah, you're going to hear a lot more from us, and then eventually from other people about exactly what's going on and what you should watch for in 2026 with this, folks.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, UNF. This one stands for Uni First. And you'd either think, well, that must be a bank. You'd be wrong. Or it might be a uniform company. You'd be right. And Cintas, which is the largest uniform maker in the world, is a $76 billion monster. This one, it's worth under $4 billion. But Cintas tried to buy them back in February. for 255 a share. Well, they couldn't get that done, Pete. So here it is. They step in today for 275 a share. And maybe it gets done this time, but they're obviously taking out a competitor. So you would think that maybe Federal Trade Commission would take a hard look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, when it comes down to what Cintas is doing, they want to own it all, right? I mean, they're like, that's the kind of investor that they are in the rest of their competition. They just want to take them over. Now, I don't know if UniFirst is something that can actually keep saying no to this, or if they're going to have to accept it, John, but the stock had a pretty good pop there. And, it pulled back from the original pop. Last I looked, it was around 202. It was much higher than that. It was up 30 some odd percent, I think. So interesting to see how this is playing out. Are they going to be willing to be taken over? Obviously, there's a lot of different things that are I think, being looked at there, including a reverse termination thing where they can have this fee, if approved, $350 million. There's all kinds of numbers being thrown out there. The biggest thing is this: $76 billion company going after $4 billion. If they really want it, John, they're going to get it done. And especially if you look at where the stock is right now at 202, and where the stock that they're talking about paying the equivalent of $275, they're going to keep coming after them, in my opinion. I don't think this is over by any stretch. And I think that Cintas is going to make this happen.
I agree. I mean, kind of makes you wonder, this was before the tariff tantrum, Pete, back in February. But then as we drifted, through the negotiations, maybe the tariff thing had a little something to do with it, because maybe they weren't willing to be as patient and wait for a higher bid. And maybe Cintas was saying, well, if we stick around, maybe those guys will struggle a little and we'll be able to buy them for cheaper. Well, They paid more instead of less. So good for the shareholders of UNF. All right. How about one more, Pete? Highcroft Mining, HYMC. It was up 30%, then 40%, then 50%. Now it's up 56% on the day. What do? Gold and silver mining. Well, you guys know, I mean, look at that graph that Jared's got up there. You guys know that Pete and I have talked for the whole year about silver and gold stocks. Wish I had more. You never bet enough on a winning horse, folks. But this has been just an incredible year for silver, for gold, for platinum, for any of the precious metals. I think that the fact that these guys got basically another assessment, Pete, of what they've got in the ground in Nevada. Somebody just said, hey, you know what? We think the deposit's a lot bigger. And wow, if that's the case, and silver had traded up over 60, over 63 even, and gold over 4,300 and so forth, that's what they mine, Pete, silver and gold, as you say.
Yeah, the Burl Ives trade is alive and well. It really, truly is. And these guys are living proof of that. And like you just were talking about, the advanced technology that they've got out there to see, okay, how much of this do we really have? Because they don't have to be mining it, but if it's there, that's not so bad. And at some point, they can yank it out of there. How about this, John? You were talking about you want to see what this thing's really done. Well, it's up 665% in 6 months. And a little over 1,000% year to date. Not so bad. I would say that these guys are sitting in a really good spot right now. And you and I, like you said, we have been talking about silver and gold, but even more so silver, because it's just taken off. I mean, silver was catching up to what gold was doing and then bypassed them and just continues to just be elevating. Now, both are hitting at near highs or at highs, but nonetheless, silver is the one who's made the really incredible run to the upside. So, hats off to the guys over there at Highcroft Mining. I mean, they are doing everything right. The one thing that I think they're going to probably start doing is they might start pulling some of that out, depending on what they want to do, John. But they certainly are doing very, very well. And obviously, with this technology, we already know what's in there. So it's just a matter of getting it out.
Yeah, and if you put, Pete, a graph year to date of silver against a graph of gold, folks, you'll see that kind of outperformance that Pete's talking about, because it's been a monster. Silver's the one you really wanted in your portfolio. I remember when the Hunt brothers, Pete, were able to drive it, from, single digits into the 40 and even close to 50, I think, back in the day. But this is unprecedented. This move through 62 and 63 bucks, just a phenomenal run for silver. All right. Well, we know you guys love these videos, and you're lucky that I didn't cause you to have to watch yet another replay of DJ Moore's touchdown while he was being choked by one of the Green Bay Packers with the arms around his neck and everything else, and he still caught it. Yep. And Caleb Williams, Pete, with the
he got a brush
off. How about that, Pete? When Caleb threw the ball, he threw it, and then he stuck his hands in his pocket, and he waited until he came down with it. DJ Moore came down with it, and then he gave it the.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
They call him the Iceman, and boy, the dude does have ice in his veins, because that fourth down play to take it to overtime, Pete, was one of those plays where he threw it to a spot in the end zone on a, what do they call it, cover zero, Pete, meaning that there's nobody. They sent everybody, just like in the professional. Who do you want? Everyone. You don't have enough people to stop him, and yet he still threw it to that corner, and it was just a fabulous catch to get him to overtime. But anyway, let's show you what happened with Detroit last night, because Detroit and Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, they had a barn burner, because Rodgers held the ball, Pete, I think he had it for 12 minutes in the third quarter.
I think it was more.
They only ran, it was either three plays in the third quarter. That's all Detroit could run, because the Steelers just pounded the ball. And then, it came down to a shootout at the end, though, because Goff, for whatever reason, Pete, all of a sudden his line started blocking for him, and they were blasting holes for the running backs and all the rest. Well, so this was to win, basically to win the game. So let's see what the final 25 seconds looked like.
Steelers, if they get any time, they'll have no timeouts to play with. Here with 25 seconds. Goff.
He's open. He's open. Touchdown. Let's go.
Brown with the touchdown. And the Lions
they came back. Let's go.
Absolutely amazing.
But guess what?
What?
And they were doing it all game, Pete.
You gotta be kidding me.
I'm telling you, they were picking
the season
all
in the
goal.
Goff fires at the one. He didn't get across, but
What?
there are flags down. Ball hits
Oh,
over the hand.
there you
That
go.
was the play. Goff was a stud.
Let's go. Let's touchdown.
Goff was a stud on that play.
Yep.
There's so many things on this level that I just saw.
What happened?
On the field, there's a touchdown. However, pass interference, number 14 on the offense.
It was.
Rule, that
Oh, yeah.
penalty is
As he
not
shoved
enforced,
off
and there is no
create the
replay.
distance
The game
between
is
him.
over.
What?
Steelers, if
You
they
know,
get
those poor fans at first, John, thought that the game was over and they scored the touchdown, so that was all good. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case for them. And as you pointed out to me, and I saw it too, I was watching that game, and I'm sitting there watching Aaron Rodgers, and he's walking out, and he knows exactly what was right and what was wrong and what it was. They won. So.
He's looking at it, and he says, it's an OPI, offensive pass interference. He said, game's over. Because if the defense has an interference penalty that would have negated a touchdown, for instance, if it would have, and it wouldn't have in this case. But if there was something that caused a defensive pass interference, then the offense gets to reset. Even if the clock's run out, you get one more play. But it was offensive, and you don't. It was a tough night to be Mr. Campbell, Pete. And even though they came all the way back from the brink, it was almost the same as the Bears. But again, only almost.
Almost.
So, wow.
And by the way, Caleb should be so happy that they built a team around him. And they started before they drafted him, but they've got wide receivers. They got running backs. They started getting more aggressive with offensive line. You can see it just in the 2 years that he's been there, John. We talked about how many sacks he had the previous year versus this year, and he's getting protected. Yeah, 68, and now it's like 15 or 12 or whatever it is. I mean, it's some obscene number on the other side of things. So you got to love what the Bears have been able to do in a very short period of time. Love the coach who left Detroit, ironically.
They're hurt without him.
And doing a hell of a job down there in Chicago. So here's what I got for you.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it would be kind of fun as we're getting closer and closer to the whole playoffs and everything else for the NFL. What is the best division these days in the NFL? Like, where is the best talent? I'll tell you what, I think it's almost an easy.
West Coast.
It is on the West Coast, and you've got to go with the NFC, right? I mean, the AFC East is great. You've got Buffalo, you've got New England, both outstanding. New England's had an unbelievable year. They've got their quarterback for the future, big, strong hulk of a dude who can rock the ball. Same thing with Buffalo. Jacksonville and Houston, well, kind of the same thing as well, I suppose. I mean, similar anyway. Denver and the Chargers on the AFC West. But how about the NFC West? I mean, these guys are unbelievable to watch. First of all, we had that game, and we said it was going to be the game of the weekend. It pretty much, well, maybe some of those other games actually had some great plays going on them, but that Seattle game was unbelievable, John, against the Rams. Two great quarterbacks going back and forth. It went all the way, to the bitter end. And oh, by the way, in that same division, you've got the 49ers, who happen to be playing on Monday Night Football tonight, who have a great record. They're probably, if nothing else, they're going to be a pretty solid, I think, playoff team. And the key for them is going to be just where do they end up lining up, I think. I mean, they are finally healthy, which is why they've won 4 in a row. They look like the 49ers are supposed to look, at least in the past, but they're finally healthy. So from a division standpoint, I think with those 3 teams, that is the best division in all of football. I think that there's some really good ones in other places with maybe 2. There's also a couple of stinkers out there. I mean, I can't figure out what's going on with Tampa and Carolina and that division, so who knows? But I'll tell you what, when you've got the Seattle and the Rams and the 49ers, and they're all playing at an elite level, that for me has got to be the best one. Is that the right place, or what do you think?
Yep, that is absolutely the right place, Pete. They are the best. Sam Darnold, even, Daniel Jones. I mean, Vikings had them both and, then lost them both. Now, I understand losing Daniel Jones because he didn't really play for him. You know what I mean, Pete?
Yep.
But the fact that Darnold, they just didn't want to see, they thought, well, what if he's another situation like Cousins? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cousins got signed to a monster contract. He'd never done anything anywhere else. He gets signed to a monster contract down in Atlanta. And at first, anyway, he kind of stunk it up. And Penix got the hit, let's go with Penix instead. And now it's back to guess who, Mr. Cousins.
Yeah.
But Darnold, in the first game against him, like you and I said, Pete, against the Rams, he threw 4 picks. He was the man against the Rams. And Matthew Stafford wasn't giving anything away. Matthew Stafford was a beast. And when you said Drake May is a big man and a stud, and he is both, Stafford is as well. You look at that guy, you don't know how big he is. He's really, he can stand back there and rock the ball from any position, all the way down to his knees if he had to. That is a strong man. But Darnold there was no quit in the Seahawks, and they lucked out with it being at home. And I'll say enough, Pete, like maybe the Bears lucked out with being at home too. Because at Green Bay, we played them tough, but we couldn't get it done.
Right.
And in Chicago, they came all the way back and did it. So home field advantage has its advantages.
And some injuries, John, over the weekend that could be it'll be interesting to see. I think some of them are not terrible, but including the Green Bay quarterback, Love getting knocked out. And that was legit, I thought. You know what? Everybody's like, well, he ducked his head. For crying out loud. Let's be honest. The guy's running full speed. He's getting in there. He gets the hit. I don't think that was a dirty hit or anything. I thought that was just you know what? That's another guy.
You know what? My friend and your friend, Pete, who manages money for the Packers, I won't say her name, but she was telling me the other dirty play was, how come only the Green Bay sideline didn't have the heaters on? I didn't know that. She said, oh, yeah, it just happened. You know, they ran out of natural gas. What can I say? That happened on road games, folks.
All right, last thing, we're going to do a little college football. Before we do, we've got a video here too. This ought to be kind of fun, I think.
All right.
Yeah, listen. We fucked up. Yeah, listen.
Yeah. I mean, Pete, did Tulane and James Madison deserve to be in there more than Notre Dame?
No. I mean, it's easy. The answer is no. And for whatever reason, they've got this whole idea that this is the way it's got to be. You've got to be inclusive of this, that, and the other. You know what? You're supposed to be getting the best teams, and that is who plays in the playoff. And no offense to James Madison, who played really, really well in the second half. But in the first half, let's be honest. What was the score, John? 34-6 in the first half. I mean, the game was over. Oregon's, you know what? They didn't take a lot of time. They didn't take a lot of plays. They would go down in 3 plays, 4 plays, 5 plays, 3 plays, and throw touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. They were getting smoked. Now, they made it look better at the end of the game, right? Second half, they scored some points. So some people are saying, well, but, you know, they did okay towards the second half. I push away against that. I don't think that they did. I just don't. And then on the other game that I thought was pretty interesting is the Tulane game against Ole Miss. Now, I'm not saying they didn't deserve something, but you know what, John? They got their butt whooped too. 41-10 is pretty much a butt kicking. 27-3 into the fourth quarter tells me they coasted in the fourth quarter. So it could have been worse, and it wasn't, but it could have been worse. So you know what? This whole thing with the playoff and everything, I think that they've got to relook at this thing and decide how it really should set up. Is it the best 12, or are there people who get in there for the wrong reasons? And I think that's what the way I view it. I know that everybody's got an opinion on this whole thing. By the way, the Miami-Texas A&M game, that one was a pretty good fight. But A&M, you can't throw 3 interceptions. You can't have a fourth be a fumble or whatever. So you have 3 interceptions plus a fumble. Texas A&M at home got beat by Miami, and that was an interesting game for sure because at least it was a close game. But you know, Miami did show that they've got to have something, and they still got that swag, John. I watched that game. They got big time swag still on the Miami Hurricanes, but. What do you think about this whole thing? What's your opinion? Because you had a daughter at Tulane, so you probably pull for them a little bit. You worked at Tulane as a financial guy or whatever, consultant to the school or whatever it was. So what do you think about this whole thing?
I think that you're exactly right. It needs to be merit-based. And by merit, I don't mean you won a conference championship where, for instance, you're playing Duke. And Duke has had good teams over the years. This year, it was not one of those years. They were just okay. And I'll say it, you're going to get these kids hurt too, because it's the end of the season. They're going to be going full tilt. And so is the really good team, like, for instance, Oregon or, Ole Miss. And they are going to trounce these guys. And you could get people hurt because it's a whole different level. I was watching, Pete, believe it or not, the Montana State game.
Yeah.
Because, North Dakota State got pushed out by Illinois State, which was amazing the week before. So I wanted to see, okay, Montana versus Montana State. My God, one team had 300-pound O-linemen and the other team had 250-pound defensive players. That dog doesn't hunt. I'm sorry. Unless the coach is an idiot, that dog does not hunt. You cannot beat that team with, giving up 50 pounds plus per man across the line. It just doesn't work. no matter how much heart those guys have. That was a good game. But by the way, I'll throw this out too and let you go, Pete. The Bama Sooners game, when Mateer and the Sooners went up 17-0, they were making Bama look like crap. And then Mateer throws a pick six, and next thing you know, it's all Bama.
It's all Bama.
And they look great.
Yeah, they started rolling. They did start rolling pretty damn good. I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to, because I still got my bet on, John, that Texas Tech wins the whole thing. Now, will they? I don't know. I mean, there's things happen. Footballs don't always bounce where you think they're going to go, but I'll tell you what, Oregon's going to be a good challenge for them, because when they went up against a really good quarterback at Arizona State, that was the one loss that Texas Tech has, was that game against Arizona State. So, and Leavitt, the quarterback. But I think it's going to be pretty interesting. They've got a great defense, great offense. Of course, you could say the same damn thing about Oregon, except the defense might have a little bit of holes in it. For Oregon. So we'll see. That should be fun.
That'll be a big game. And Rodriguez, their stud linebacker, Pete. Can't wait to watch that kid play.
Yep.
All right, folks. Thanks for joining us. We still have the 3 at 3 show later today.
Yep.
And then we'll be back tomorrow with another Rebels Edge. But Pete, I'm in a different time zone than you. What time is it on?
These time zones are killing me too. 1 p.m. Eastern time. See you then.
Bang.